Okay, I have been avoiding making this video, and I already made a video similar to this, but I just never posted it because I didn't feel like it was ready. And I'm glad that I didn't, because there was more revelation that needed to be understood before I could convey the message. But I have noticed, not only in my own life, but in the life of many women specifically, that is who I'm geared towards helping, because I don't fully know the male experience. I only know what it's like to be a woman. But there is a attack on women that doesn't seem like that's what it is. All of our lives we're taught that reading is a fundamental thing that is good for us to do, regardless of the type of reading that it is that we're doing. And I myself grew up very interested in different kinds of literature and different kinds of written media. I have just always loved to read. And when I was coming up, I started reading my mother always had like this library of romance novels, and I don't think she really thought anything of it. She wasn't I don't think she saw it as what it actually is. And years later, now that I am how old she was when she had me, or around when she had me, maybe a little bit older than that, but I'm realizing that there are a lot of women who are trapped in written pornography, and they don't even know it. And not only are these romance novels written pornography, but it's also a spirit of limerence attached to these written novels. A lot of the written novels, not even romance novels, it doesn't have to be that, but the books that cause you to, in your mind, build another world and live in another world, escape your reality. Those books are demonic, and I didn't realize, again, how demonic it was until literally maybe last month. I didn't realize that the reason for the inability to connect to other actual human beings, the reason for not being able to really have relationships was more because I was living in a fantasy land that was a culmination of all the books that I had read, a culmination of all of the novels that I had read over my lifetime. And as a result, I had a imaginary person in my mind that I was looking for, that I didn't know that I was looking for. And instead of taking the people that I was meeting, especially, of course, men that I was meeting, and finding myself attracted to and finding myself in relationships with, I was never actually engaging with them as themselves. I was always placing this other imaginary character onto who they were in my mind. So I just was never seeing people for who they actually were, and always wanting to see this other character as them. So it made me a lot more easily manipulated, a lot more forgiving of things that were wrong, a lot more willing to deal with things that no woman should have to deal with. And it was because I had this limerence on me, this false reality in my mind, thinking that things were a way that in reality and in fact and in truth they were not. And I think that there are a lot of women who are also, and of course this probably applies to men too, that they have this dream girl or dream guy that doesn't exist. They don't exist in real life, but the culmination of all the different medias that we interact with on a regular basis build this imagination of a person that's not real. And I think that is the big reason why it is so hard for the millennials and after, and maybe even before that, maybe that's why it's so hard for people to really be in relationships, because they're not living in reality. They're living in a simulation in their own mind of how they think the world should be, regardless of the fact that the world is not like that. So you have, you know, women who live in this false reality that they can, you know, eat however they want. They can not exercise. They cannot take care of themselves. And some LL Cool J, Morris Chestnut man is going to come out of nowhere and pluck them from obscurity and marry them. You have women that were living a lifestyle of whoredom and, you know, just as unpure as the day is long, and they believe that some wealthy, well-to-do, highly respected man is going to pluck them from obscurity and marry them, and so many other things, right? Like, they think that they're just regular, degular, schmegular girl, and some extraordinary dude is going to be just amazed with all of her regularness and decide that he wants her. And that is what creates the divide between male and female, because there's obviously those same things for men. There are men who are, you know, severely overweight, or, you know, they don't even make enough money to support themselves, let alone a family, but they believe that that women should bow down to them, you know. It is all the unrealistic, completely fabricated things that people have been coached and trained to believe are real, that are causing the divide between male and female. And it is really the spirit of limerence. That is the limerence is what keeps us from actually connecting to one another. So, I would advise, if you are somebody who loves to read, if you're well read and you enjoy stories, I'm not saying that you can't read stories, but what I'm saying is you need to make sure that in your mind and in your heart of hearts that you understand that what is on that page is not reality, that your life is not what is in these books. Your life is the normal, everyday things that are happening, and the people that you interact with are not the people in these damn books. The people that you interact with are their own individuals, and that will, you know, shock you out of this fantasy land. I didn't even realize that I was dealing with men who were just completely wrong for me, because I wasn't dealing with them in my mind. I'm dealing and giving them the benefit of the doubt as if they are this person that I'm already in love with. So thank God I got delivered from that. But if that is something that you're struggling with, that you meet somebody and maybe for a little bit you're getting to know them, and then you're just deeply in love with them, you are not in love with that person. You are in love with an idea in your mind of the perfect person for you. They don't exist. And the expression of the actual person in real life, you're not really getting that, because you're thinking of them as somebody completely different. And that's why when you break up, or when, you know, you start to get closer and closer and closer to this person, or God forbid you marry them, and then you realize that finally, after you're married to this person and you're living together, that you do not actually know this person. And it's because you have been equating them to this idea of the perfect person for you, and not dealing with who that person actually is in real life on a day-to-day basis. So get delivered from the spirit of limerence. That same spirit that when you're trying to go to bed and you're laying down, you're imagining yourself being with, whatever person it is that you're having feelings with at the time. I know, I've been there. It is not of God. It is not holy. You do not want to continue to entertain those thoughts. You want to live in the reality that you're in your bed by yourself, hugging your pillow. That is where you are. That is where you're supposed to be. That is safe. The spirit of limerence is not safe. It causes you to be more easily subjected to being manipulated, and more easily subjected to manipulative people who they may not know that is what they're looking for, but they will rush the relationship, and it's going to feel fine to you because in your mind, again, you already think that you're really in love with this person when it's not them, and you don't even know them. You only know this idea of a perfect person in your mind. So it is best to just unlearn all the things, all of the I don't want to say unlearn all of the things that you want about a person, but when you're dealing with someone new and you're taking stock over your life, that you're actually dealing with that person as who they are. As things happen, that is what you're basing your relationship with them off of, not off of a perceived reality about who that person is, or any mirroring or narcissist. Like, it is so easy to fall for a narcissist when you are under the spirit of limerence. And the songs that you listen to will agree with you and keep you in those narcissistic relationships. The books that you read will agree with you and keep you in those narcissistic relationships, and you'll be stuck. And you'll be stuck with somebody that you don't even know is treating you poorly, and that this person does not even have a capacity to love you. You will not even know it until after they have pulled off their mask, or after their mask has fallen. We don't want that. We want to notice the signs of narcissism before we ever even get close to them. And you can only do that when you're living in reality and not giving the person more perceived, not giving the person more trust than they should have, but also like you're not giving them more credit than they've built with you. And that's actually funny. Like, I feel like when I was younger, I used to, I would go just off the deep edge when I got or developed feelings for somebody, and I would literally like be ready to lay my life down for this man. And not even after a long period of time, and I thought it was just because I was such a lover girl. I thought I was just so romantic, but that's not the case. I was giving men credit that they did not earn. So they were applying to me. Imagine if I'm a credit bureau, they're applying to me, applying to my credit, and getting the full limit. And then what they do is they max that credit out, and it's not until they've already maxed it out that I realize that, oh, I shouldn't even gave you this credit in the first place. And then we break up, and then I have to heal from that. Then we have to heal from these wounds that could have easily just been avoided if we would have dealt with the reality of that person instead of the perceived perfect person that we're giving them credit as. Don't give people nothing. Okay? Make men earn. I can only, again, speak from a woman's perspective, but make men earn every ounce of credit that you give them. Don't call a man a good man until you have evidence that is what he is. Don't call a man a kind man responsible man. Don't give people more stock than they can afford, because they'll bankrupt you every time. Every time you give somebody something that they don't actually deserve, they're not going to treat what you have given them as precious because you gave it to them out of love and all of that stuff. No. Just like when you get something for free, you kind of really don't care. That is how we are being treated. So I said all this to say, don't be living in no fantasy land. Don't be living comparing real life people to the books that you read, the movies that you watch, and the songs that you listen to. Don't do that, because you will be in similar situations that I was in, years into something with somebody, and realize you don't actually know them. And that's not how we want to live, right? Y'all be blessed in Jesus' name.